So Joe Biden just stated on what he's going to do to control gun violence, and I want to point out two things. Joe Biden is A, more friendly toward gun owners, and B, he is tougher on crime than Donald Trump. And this is easily provable simply by comparing the two people's histories and what they're doing in office as president. Now, Joe Biden has continued to arm the police and fund the police with military-style weapons so that they can take care of business. Trump didn't really do that, did he? No, he didn't. The other thing is Trump passed numerous executive orders, particularly the one he passed after the George Floyd incident, where he knelt basically to BLM and passed an executive order to curtail the ability of police to be able to arrest criminals. And it's led to the deaths of police, not to mention prior to that, the First Step Act, where he let tens of thousands of violent criminals out of prison that were put there by the bipartisan Biden crime bill. Okay? Now, what's Biden saying in this current gun control bill? This is not gun control. This is simply enforcing the laws that we already have and having zero tolerance for those that break them. Okay, this will work to control access to guns by criminals, and it will obviously reduce the access to guns by criminals. However, what you need to understand, compare this to Trump, who wanted to take people's legal guns. Do you remember that? Do you remember Trump when he told Pat Toomey, "We can do the taking of the guns first, and then we can have your due process later," which left everybody flabbergasted because it shows that Donald Trump had no clue what the hell due process is. So think about that. Trump wanted to just take people's guns and supported red flag laws to just take people's guns. Biden is saying, let's enforce a zero tolerance on people that are breaking our laws and giving guns to people that don't need to have guns, like felons. What did Trump do? Let's let the felons out of prison. Or with Candace Owens, maybe let's consider giving the felons voting rights so that they can vote Republican, because we all know that's how felons are going to vote, is vote Republican. Maybe they will, though, because the Republicans seem to be giving them everything they frickin' want. Okay? But my point is that you have to look at the fact that this is about basically fixing the problems that Trump caused by letting everybody the hell out of prison to begin with. Now, Biden hasn't come right out and said it, but let's be honest. Why is there so much gun violence? It's not guns. Guns aren't going around killing people. It's the amount of criminals, the surplus amount of criminals we have walking around because of Trump and because of Jared Kushner. Okay? Now, if you watch that during the 2016 election between Hillary Clinton and Trump, in Philadelphia, Bill Clinton was confronted by Black Lives Matter, and boy, oh boy, did he put them in their places, okay, with hard facts about what, and I'm leaving a link to these things in the description. Please follow the links. Whose lives were saved by the Biden crime bill? Black lives. Okay, so the point that Bill Clinton was trying to make is that the lives that were saved by the Biden crime bill were black people's lives. These are the same lives that Trump put in jeopardy by reversing the Biden crime bill and letting predators back into these black communities to murder these people. Okay? And another thing is with Judge Joe Brown. I'm gonna post a video to Judge Joe Brown. Okay, we all know who Judge Joe Brown is. Half the time he sounds like Huckleberry Hound. The other time he sounds like a crazy pimp. You know Judge Joe Brown. Well, apparently what Judge Joe Brown thinks is that Joe Biden is a racist. Joe Biden's a racist because he wanted to enforce the drug laws. And the drug laws put more black people in prison than white people. Again, this is because of the people that are committing the crimes. Nobody's telling people to commit crimes. If you commit crimes, there is nothing inherently racist in the Biden crime bill. If you commit crimes, you go to prison. Okay? There's nothing inherently racist about that. Just stop committing crime. That's all you gotta do to not go to prison is stop committing the frickin' crimes. Yeah, you might have police harassment and all this nonsense, but if you're not actually committing crimes, or there's not evidence enough to say you're committing crimes, you're not going to go to prison. Okay? Now, who remembers Kim Kardashian with that poor grandmother that was a crack dealer? Okay? Now, watch the Bill Clinton speech about the people that are getting, as Clinton said, getting these kids hopped up on crack to go out there to kill other black lives, the lives that you say matter. That's what Clinton said. Now, watch that video and then take into consideration that Kim Kardashian wanted a crack dealer let out of prison. Now, remember, why did we have such a stiff punishment for drug offenses during the 90s and 2000s under the Biden crime bill? Well, because drug offenses usually are committed by violent criminals. If you don't have enough evidence to grab them on a violent crime, you do have enough evidence to grab them on a drug crime. Is it dishonest? Yes, to a point, but it serves the purpose of making the community safe. Okay? Bill Clinton also brings up the community policing aspect of the Biden crime bill. Okay? As Bill Clinton says, we wanted to make sure that the people arresting people looked like the people they were policing. Okay? Now, a lot of black people are complaining, a lot of Black Lives Matter people, we can police our own communities. What the hell do you think community policing was, you freaking morons? Okay? In the Biden crime bill, it allowed for community policing to hire more African American, Hispanic, Asian, all sorts of different people, and put them in the communities that they came from, which I think is ridiculous, and I think it has affected the quality of police recruitment because you have to lower the standards to get these people on the force. But my point is what it did is it allowed for these people to police their own communities. Okay? Much more effectively, might I add, than Chaz or Chop or Lop or Schlop or whatever the hell it was in Seattle. So you had people policing their own communities under the community policing part of the Biden crime bill. And I also put in there the Biden crime bill speech on the Senate floor that Biden gave. You can't say that Biden is weak on crime. Now Judge Joe Brown, Huckleberry Hound, called out Joe Biden, right? He called him out as a racist. I got the video right here saying he's a racist. Kamala Harris called him a racist because he didn't support forced integration or forced busing. Okay? Now that's ridiculous, but I also put my sweet, sweet, sweet Tulsi Gabbard in there, putting Kamala Harris in her place. But the fact of the matter is, what you need to understand is that what's going on now under Joe Biden is cleaning up the disaster that Trump was. The COVID-19 disaster, which has been a freaking... Think about it this way. George W. Bush and Barack Obama put certain things in place to make sure that a pandemic would not affect this country like it did the rest of the world. So when Trump is saying, who could have foreseen a pandemic? Who could have foreseen a pandemic? Obviously George W. Bush and Barack Obama. Well, actually George W. Bush foresaw it, and then Barack Obama piggybacked on the things that George W. Bush foresaw, and that's what Donald Trump gets rid of weeks after finding out we have a pandemic. Okay, like, come on. Who could have foreseen a pandemic? Both of the prior presidents foresaw the pandemic. So what you have to understand is this current dude has to do quadruple duty, basically, to clean up the chaos that was caused by the two previous administrations. And that's what people aren't understanding. In the meanwhile, people are blaming him for being anti-gun when he's thousands of times more pro-gun than Trump. Really, and any Democrat, literally, I don't know a Democrat that's run for office that's more anti-gun, maybe Barack Obama, but even Barack Obama didn't implement the crap. But I don't even know of a Democrat that's more anti-gun than Donald Trump was. Okay, Donald Trump accused my senator of being afraid of the NRA because he believed in the Constitution. Do you understand how crazy that is? He accused Pat Toomey and other Pennsylvanian Republicans of being, quote, afraid of the NRA because they believe in due process. Think about that. Think about how crazy that is. Think about that. Even Barack Obama wasn't that nuts. Okay? So you have the current guy trying to put right the craziness of the past administration while still respecting our rights to freedom of speech, our rights to freedom of expression, our rights to own guns, our rights. See, that's the whole thing that nobody's getting here. Nobody's looking at this. This is a freaking disaster because of the previous administration. That's all for this video. Please check the links in the description though, and you'll see that what I'm saying is accurate. Whether or not you're a Trump worshiper or not, Trump was anti-gun, and he was a frickin' lunatic that didn't believe in law and order. He let people right out of prison to go start killing people, because that's the kind of president he was. Let's let everybody out of prison. And the funny thing is, and I love it, okay? The funny thing is, Trump finally caught on to what me and David Duke were telling him. Okay, and what did I say me and David Duke were telling him? I actually don't know if it was amongst other people. I think it was just me and David Duke on Twitter telling him this. But the thing is, the dumbass kept pandering to the black criminal element. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying he was pandering to the black community, but the black criminal element in the black community. Okay? That's what you need to understand. The primary victims of the black criminal element are black people. Okay? So he finally caught on to the fact that all this happy-go-lucky horse crap that Jared and Ivanka Kushner were telling him to do, to basically lick the boots of these crazed black criminals, has come back to bite him in his ass, and that's why he lost re-election. Okay? So he understands that none of the blacks would vote for him because they hated him. Why did they hate him? Because they're not bright enough to know what's going on. They didn't understand that Trump kowtowed entirely to the black community. Or not the black community, but the black criminal element in the black community. And on top of that, what he was going to do if he was reelected, thank God he was not reelected, was the Platinum Plan to basically do a communist Chinese trickaroo and take the money, the tax money of a predominantly white population and reallocate it to the black community for high-speed internet and everything else, while the white community can't even get these things. Okay? Like, I still use the public library when I need to use a computer. I can't afford a computer. A lot of white people can't afford a computer. Okay? If you go to the public library, it's East Indians and white people and Hispanic people. We're the ones that can't afford computers. We wouldn't have got any of that cashola because the Platinum Plan wasn't for whites, Hispanics, or East Indians. It's not fair to reallocate some people's money to benefit other people. Okay? That money should be used to build up the infrastructure of the whole country, which is how Biden is planning his infrastructure spending. And that's what people are not understanding. And I'm not pro-Biden. As I said, I am extremely disappointed that Biden won the Democratic primary. I am extremely disappointed that we don't have a President Tulsi Gabbard. But it looks like we probably will in 2024 if she runs as a Republican. And that's all for this video. Check the links in the description. You'll see that I'm not crazy and that everything checks out.